We are live. Welcome in, everybody. Go ahead and post the link. I'm going to post it in the stage here as well on Discord. All right, cool. Links are posted. We are up. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for being here. Hugo first. Welcome, Hugo. A few different coins we're looking at right now that are doing really, really well. We'll also be having a special guest come on to talk about the Thor AI bot. It's a trading bot that they use. And we'll have them come on to talk about how they use that to DLMM. Be pretty cool. Good morning, everybody. Dracon, AZ, welcome in. OX, well, I forgot that I had this window open, and when the sound on it scared the bejesus out of me. Hey, sorry, man. Glad you're here, though. See the daily profit right now over 5K. It's sitting pretty good. Using Ultra LP here to be able to do that, which I just tweeted about right here. Good morning. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. We're going to be talking about some DLMM stuff, and then once our guest is ready to come on, we'll have them come up as well. It's a little earlier in the morning for him, so waiting. Told him he can come on anytime between now and the next 30 minutes, so we'll wait to see when he comes on. And I'm also going to post this. Let's see here. Got a little bit of background music. All right, let's get going in here. Just waiting for a few people to get in. Hey, welcome. All right, cool. We're going to take a look at a few different things that we're looking at today. We're looking at Moby, which we just picked up on as it was doing a swing up here. You can see we bought in here. The MACD indicator was showing that it was about to pick up, and so we went ahead and got in. We did that with a one-sided pool, and so we set up a hybrid position, both in spot and bid ask, and you can see it's moved up nicely. We're earning 55% on Moby, and we're not even into the meat of our liquidity pool yet. And so doing really well on this. Obviously, it could dip back down a little bit, which is perfectly fine. We have this set up. We could have done it on like a tighter range to try to earn even more fees, but we have it set up to really be able to go all the way up to like 900 to 950, 90 to 95 million market cap. And so I don't know that it'll do that, but I just wanted to have it set up for that so that we can start earning fees along the way. And then as it moves up and down, we'll earn fees, but then we have most of our liquidity towards the top end here. So that way we're still selling most of it as it would move up on the higher end of the range. So we'll see how that goes. We're also in ARC, we're in Grift. And so things are rolling pretty good. Looking at Solana as well, because a lot of the market is going to follow based on what like Solana is doing, which obviously follows what Bitcoin is doing. And so we see a Solana around the 186 right now. I would love to see Solana move back up into the 190s. I think if we see that, we'll really see the market start to pop off pretty good. I think as we move closer, I've mentioned this before, to January 20th and the current administration being heavily pro-crypto, I think we'll start to see the market move for that reason as well. Grift is doing amazing. I've talked about both ARC and Grift. Meme coins are great. I'll make money off of meme coins. But these AI coins, there's a ton out there. There's only going to be so many that stick around that are actually doing something. And Poppy, I see you there. I'm going to bring you up in just a second. And so, these are two that are building something big, right? Like Grift is enabling other AI agents to interact with it. It's going to be launching, multiple of their own AI agents that are going to be able to do all sorts of different tasks, dealing with finance, DeFi, all that kind of good stuff. And so I'm really excited for Grift. I've been messing with the bot, which it was giving me a little bit of trouble earlier, but I also had some trouble with some other stuff earlier. So it could just be my internet with everything I'm running right now. And then I really like Arc as well. I'm also in Swarms. Swarms is down a decent amount, but it's fighting back pretty good. So we'll keep watching that. I'm really excited to see what Moby does. I think Moby could do fairly well. Definitely going to do well in the short term, I believe. Long term, I'm still trying to understand it a little bit more, but I do like it as of right now based on the chart and all that kind of good stuff. So Ultra LP is a great tool. Right now it's in limited use, but it shows all the profits that you're able to earn, or not that you're able to earn, that you're currently earning, your P&L and such. And you have to get a code. I will be giving out more of these once they give them to me. We haven't gotten any yet, outside of the 3 that we gave away to some of our Meteora holders today. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and I want to bring up PapiChurro. He's a holder of Cyberfrogz. He uses the Thor AI bot, and I want to bring him up. And so that way he can talk to us kind of about what he does. You're also welcome to share your stage and unmute your mic, Poppy. Yeah, it looks like your mic. Do I have to unmute it? Or yeah, there you go. There you do. Welcome in, Poppy. Can you hear us okay? I don't know if we can hear you, Poppy, so I don't know if your mic's on, but you're definitely unmuted. This is Poppy here. Cyberfrogz. They have their Thor bot. Cyberfrogz, great team, been around for a while. They keep just doing really good stuff. Their Thor bot, I've seen a lot of good stuff about. Also really cool art on the NFTs. I was wondering, did the Grift contest end? Yeah, I posted the winner of the Grift contest right here. So I made anytime I post the winner, I post it in the comments right underneath. And so you can see here, congrats to Rosie C for winning. And then I DM'd and sent the Grift to Rosie. I have a lot of DMs right here. Boom, sent. When you enter a pool, do you normally start with single side spot or just buy 50% of the token right away and open double sided? Oscar, it depends on what it's doing. While Poppy figures out his mic, Poppy, welcome back up. While he's figuring out his mic situation, I'll just, yeah, I can hear you now.
Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. I can hear you now.
Awesome, brother. Sorry about that. It's weird. Our AirPods are weird. Sometimes they connect and disconnect, and I don't know, man. I just reset everything.
Yeah, you're good, dude. Glad it's working now. So welcome on up. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, glad to have you here. Obviously, we do all things DeFi here, DLMMing. We look at things like, DeFi tuna and Soul Decoder bot and all these different things. But, I have looked at Thor. Obviously, it's a direct trading bot. I've seen a lot of good stuff about it, but you use Thor and you also use it to help you with DLMMing. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. So we've been using it over here. Basically, using it over at the Cyberfrogz for a little bit. The main thing was, just trading in general, just like spot trading, perpetual trading. It's very good for that. I'm trying to share my screen right now so I can show you kind of what it looks like. Sorry, I'm a little bit
you're good
on this side of things, but
on the StreamYard, you should be able to see it at the bottom where you can present and then share screen.
Perfect. Yeah. I think it has to do. Let's see.
And once it's up, then I can click on it to move it over from my screen to yours.
Okay.
Looks like Trev is a Cyberfrogz holder in here.
Yeah, we got a few frogs in here that are showing some support, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, we've been using Thor. It's been having a huge win rate. There's obviously 2 sides to it. I don't know how familiar you are kind of with the with Thor or how it works or anything, but I guess just the general overview is two sides of a coin for the most part. It's got the auto Thor side of things, which is like the set and forget side. Basically, just deposit it, and the bot will buy low, sell high, stake the Sol, stake the USDC all in one transaction, and so it locks it for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or a year, and then it's pretty much it's just a very nice crypto savings account, if you will, right? That's how I treat it. So it's been going pretty well. And then on the manual side of things, it has the Thor calls themselves using the AI bot, which is really nice. Takes a whole bunch of just math into consideration when it pulls up the the plays and stuff like that, and it works really well. It gives you entry zones, gives you exit zones, and then on top of that gives you basically ranges and stuff like that, or probabilities. And so it's very nice. It's a safer way of trading in my sense. If I'm going to go ahead and buy AVAX, I'd rather buy it if Thor is calling it at, let's say there's a long call at $19, and I'm feel much better putting an order in for like $19 if it ever hits that price than the current price.
Yeah.
So it kind of helps you kind of DCA, risk mitigate, stuff like that when it comes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of really cool tools, and they're killing it over there. So we're just using it with the pools themselves because, like anything, if we have an entry zone and we have an exit zone, we now can identify 2 zones of volatility on that side of things. So now we can, right? So then we can set the pool parameters in between, and then from there we can just eat up. The newest, well, not even the newest, but it's just the biggest feature that Thor has now that they're really pushing is the Ask Thor, which is pretty much taking any Solana SPL or any stock, and you can throw it in there, and then it'll essentially give you the calls for it for 48 hours.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it's really nice because you can throw in, let's say you want to throw in like Cerebro, which is one that I did a lot of pooling on. I did Cerebro, ARC I messed a lot with. The newest one was Baby Shark. Let me see what else. Oh, LLM obviously has been really good to me. So I've been throwing all of those into Ask Thor and mainly starting to see, if it has any calls, like let's say it's calling a range a little lower, or it's calling for a dip, or it's calling for some shorts, then essentially I can kind of mitigate and see kind of where the volatility is. Yes, they are shit coins, obviously. Well, not shit coins, I shouldn't say, but they are meme coins. So essentially you don't know if they're, ever going to dump or not, right? Volatility is so high. So it's kind of nice to see if we have entry zones or exit zones, and then where to position those pools in between so we can ride those ranges and just cruise in between,
Yeah, absolutely. Are you able to share your screen or?
Yeah. Let me post it up right now.
Because once you share, it won't pop onto my screen until I allow it to.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Let's see.
Yeah. So you can like load it in, and like I could remove you off the stage, remove my screen off the stage. Like I can do like this and be like, what's up, guys? Just me. Bring you back.
Trying to pull up the top.
While you're doing that, I'll just talk about a few things. We've gotten into Moby earlier, guys. This DLMM here, you can see it's doing really, really well. Basically, we use the MACD indicator, and as soon as it swapped here and was started to move up and separate, you can see the little buy we bought here. And then we opened a one-sided pool that we did both a spot and bid-ask hybrid. So basically, half of the Moby that I bought, I set in a spot, and then half I set in a bid-ask, and we sat it down here. We started off earning like 15 to 20% at the lower end, but as we've moved up and we have more and more liquidity that's being used, we're actually at 50% right now. And this is on the 100 bin step 2% pool. And then as this moves up into more the meat of our liquidity, this should go up if the volume continues. And so we're already earning really, really good fees on it. As it moves up and down, we'll continue to do that. Whenever we look at the 5-minute and 1 hour charts on the volume on good morning and good night, we can see the 5 minutes doing 700K and the 1 hour is doing 2.7 mil right now. So really, really, really good volume on Moby as it's moving up. I expect this to continue to move up more. I don't know how well it'll do, but we do have it set up to go all the way up to like 90 million range. We'll be at the end of our range. And so very, very wide range there. Also DLMing a few others. I do think that Papi popped off to try to come back on so he can get his screen sharing. We're also been talking about Grift. Honestly, I would love for Grift to not push too hard. And the reason why is because we are near the top end of our range. Grift is one that that did not really go down with the rest of the market. And so it's only, I bought and set up a 2-sided pool on it. And so I set it up over here slightly more on the, to let it long Grift. I mean, I had more Grift token to sell than I did my Solana. But it is doing really, really well, earning 12.7%. And we've left this on now for a while. Let's look at what Ultra LP says on this. Let's see. Yeah, our Griff pool has been open for 17 hours and we're up 20.5% on it, which is obviously really, really good. You can see our ARC pool is earning less per day. It's at 2 days and 2 hours. There we go. Poppy's back. Hey, Poppy, are you ready for me to share your screen?
Yep, go for it, man.
Okay, cool. So we're going to go ahead and pull Poppy up. Again, if you're just joining in, thanks for being here. I do streams on Monday and Wednesdays normally, but every now and then I'll be adding in Tuesdays and Thursdays as well whenever I have guests coming on. And so Poppy's talking about the Thor bot that he uses and how he uses it to kind of help him DLMM. So we're going to go ahead and move his screen over here. All right, so your screen's up, Poppy. You can go ahead and talk about the Thor protocol and how you use it to better DLMM, and maybe we'll test some stuff out live here. So let's see what you got.
Yeah, for sure, man. So basically, this is kind of like the home screen of Thor of how it looks like for the most part. This is going to be on this side. It'll be basically in the vaults. So essentially, this is where the auto Thor comes into play. So this is the Sol USDC pair, Bonk USDC pair, Jupiter USDC pair, and these are the 3 ones that are being released. I think they just put them out as a sneak peek, but they're still not able to be deposited yet. So we have Perps, Sol BTC. Oops, I clicked on that. And then the Cheeto USD. So I got those are the 3 new vaults that are coming out for the most part, but these are the current ones right now that are active. This is obviously the one that the majority of the holders are using is the Sol USD, bouncing between both. Obviously, as the price goes down, you're accumulating more and more Sol. And then as the price goes up, it's selling more and more Sol. All in between, it's being staked. But it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a very good rundown. Now, the juicy stuff right here would be what the DLMers love for the most part are the Thor calls. So, for example, Ask Thor would be what I was talking about for the SPLs, but Thor Pro and Thor, basically they're the same thing. Thor Pro is for those that have 24 count or more frogs. So if you have 24 or more frogs or 24 count, I guess I should say, because some frogs are worth 1.5 frogs, some are worth double frogs, right? Those are betas and alphas, basically combinations of frogs. The tier system, gets a little bit like that, but for the most part, once you reach the 24 tier, you'll get access to Thor Pro. Let's see, let me log in real quick. Cool. And then this is essentially what it looks like. So there's 2 ways. I guess let me show you both ways, but let me show you the standard way Thor looks. So this is essentially what you're looking at, right? So this is the program itself, or the trading suite. Here we have an active call right now on a Sol. Basically, it has all your timeframes right here. It gives you, in this little calls area, it gives you the most popular ones. So the ones that are currently active or can be active are going to be in this bar up here. The 24-hour movers, it's just going to give you basically what the market is doing. Obviously, you're trying to scope for things that have ran really high percentages or low percentages, so you can kind of capture that volatility and see which plays are more juicy. Here's an example, right? So we have the Sol USDC pair pulled up. This is the one that everybody gets. This one and Jito are the one everybody gets on the one frog. So as long as you have one, you get the access to both of these pairs. And so now it gives you the 15-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, and 1 day calls. Essentially, the asterisks mean there's plays that can potentially happen or are currently happening. So for example, the 1 day ones are going to be the safest in my opinion, because they capture the most amount of volatility, or I guess it's zoomed out, right? So you get the biggest sense of what's happening on the markets or the map. For this one, there's quite a few calls that are long right now for Sol, and it's giving a bunch of ranges essentially at 167 to 163. We have 146 to 136, 133 to 125. So all these ranges right here are going to be your entry zones. So essentially, this is where you're going to want to enter the plays. Now, if the play hits this range in between here, there's a very, very high probable chance that this will play out, which will be your TP zones, right? And then it also tells you your percentage gain for the play. So if it enters in this range right here, you're going to exit essentially at one of these zones. It's up to you, obviously, but I usually try to aim for TP1. It is the safest one for me, and being that it's also an 87% hit rate when it comes to these calls. So I always want to position myself on the safer side of things. I'm much more conservative when I trade nowadays. I'm less gung-ho and 50x type of guy, and I've moved a little bit more to.
So the 18% or like the for the TP1, Is that
Yep.
saying like what is the percentage again? You said that's like expected value, current returns. Like what is that?
So no. So this is what happens essentially. So if it hits, let's say Sol drops down to one between 146.43 and 136.08. If it drops in this range, there's an 87% chance, right, that essentially this play will play out. So essentially, from this entrance, it should leave. The price will rise to 184.85. Right now, Thor isn't just something that you just blindly put in stuff. You have to do a little bit of TA, obviously, just for the most part, just to try to get a little bit of an understanding. You never want to blind throw, plays out there. So you're looking at all these calls. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of long calls in this area. There's 4 of them, right? And you can kind of see on the map too. It shows you the ranges right here of all the entry zones. Now, if I'm looking at this map and I'm saying, hey, where do I want to position myself if I'm doing this play or doing this long? I do believe Sol is going to keep dipping a little bit more, and it should hit one of these ranges. So where can I position myself? This first range might be a little bit on the, I guess, riskier side because it's so far away from these guys. These guys are all clustered together. So to me, these bottom ones, if there is a flash crash like there was yesterday, the entries could hit. So I'm going to position myself a little bit more on these bottom ones, and then I may ignore this top one, just because to me, I'd rather put most of the liquidity or most of what I'm trading into these zones than this zone right here. Because this one could play out, and yes, it could react. This is obviously the first one right here. So if it hits 167 to 163, we could see a bounce to 197.91, which is an 18.1% gain, right? That's a pretty good play. Like if you're going to make a play, 18%
and just to clarify, like basically what you're saying is that Thor is saying that if Solana goes into the 167 to 163 range, that would be a good time to long and to have that long closed out somewhere between the 197 or higher range. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially the 197.
Is it predicting that Sol is going to go down to that, or it's just saying if it does, this is what will most likely happen?
These are all if scenarios, mainly because Thor doesn't matter if the price goes up or down, right? It just needs to give you concrete kind of like a pathway. So if it gives you that pathway to like, hey, if it hits this range, this is what's going to happen. That kind of gives you a little bit as a trader, more confidence too. So you're not just like right now, if you were to blind look at this, you could look at the TA and be like, hey, this might be a good time to buy some Sol. But if you wait a little bit, Thor is saying if you wait and you're patient, right? Patience is the hardest thing to do in the crypto space. But if you kind of wait a little bit, then you're able to get these better entries. And like anybody knows, you make money when you buy something, not when you sell it, right? So it's the same concept here. You're making the most with the information you have. So this is just one example, right? And this is on the 1 day call.
It's just interesting because like obviously this is Solana, and it's got scenarios for Solana going all the way down to like 130, something. But I'm like, how likely, would that happen? Like I don't expect Sol to go that low right now. But anyway,
100%, and that's the hard part because you're looking at these calls and you're like, dude, what happens if Solana hits 130? But here, at least, ahead of time, what to do. You're prepared if you know what to do, I guess, if you see the price fall. Because, essentially, the price right here, that 125, like we're looking at 133 to 125, that range right here, that's a support level right here. So we could see the bounce hit down there and it supports and rips back up. But there's nothing under it, which means that this is a very, very strong support level for Solana in general. Once we reach these numbers, you can expect a huge rocket going up because the rubber band has been pulled so far back. So, it's just another way of preparing yourself kind of for what can happen. And that way you're not caught off guard if the price dumps. You're not like, where is it going? Oh, wait, there is a call down there. Maybe I can position myself or kind of move things around. And then,
can you look at other tokens like any coin like this, or can you look at like a meme coin?
Shoot me one
or something.
Let's look at.
Does it recommend coins, or do you look up the coin?
So essentially, it'll when it comes to these coins, it's whatever tier you're in. So when it comes to Thor, let me see. Tap. Let me just open up a new one so I don't mess that up. But essentially, when you do Thor and you log in, it'll tell you right here. In the background, non-holders get 0 pairs. Holders and 1
We can only see the Thor bot right now.
Oh, let's see. Share this tab. Cool. There we go. So essentially here, you can see that if you have 1 frog, you're getting the Jito USD pair, right? But the more frogs you own, the more pairs are unlocked. Just when it comes
to tax you pay on Thor.
Exactly. The auto Thor tax goes down, and then yeah, the price for the calls as well goes down. So from here, you're paying $2 a call with one frog. With 5 frogs, you're paying $1.50. Mini whale, you're paying $1 per call, and it gives you more options. So basically,
But you can
the more
search any
frogs,
token you want, right?
exactly. You see, that's the thing. You can have one frog, and you can still make like Jupiter or H bar calls. You just need the contract address for the H bar to Sol
Gotcha,
on
gotcha.
Sol chain, right? The SPL for that. Let me see. Let me go back here. Cool. So essentially, we go back to the original screen. For the auto Thor side of, not the auto Thor, I'm sorry, for the what's it called? Oh wow, they changed it up a little bit too. So
Thor.
that's the cool thing is they're always every week just updating the interface, making it smoother, run nicer. You can see a few things that I've done before. They now have a history tab too, so it shows me like the stuff that I've searched before.
Okay.
Made some searches on Arc, Pengu, Prism, Akka, Sni, Poppy, Cloud,
Yeah. So let's
Zalgo.
take a look. Let's look at Moby. Because like Moby's
Moby.
ripping up right now, and I'm curious if what it'll say on Moby.
Another thing to keep in mind with Ask Thor is that it helps if the coin is older than at least a day or two, just because there's more data to transpire. Usually for the newer coins that are like the day of have been born, there's way less data, so it's really is a Hail Mary where the price will go.
Yeah, this one's about a day old.
Okay, perfect. So what is the CA for this, or where can I what is it called?
I can post it.
Yeah,
I'll put it in the private chat on StreamYard. That's the CA there. It'll be easiest to copy off of there.
Beautiful. Perfect. So I have the CA for this. Now I'm essentially going to go over here. These are the current SPL. So this is basically telling us all the stuff that people are looking at right now. Out of all the Thor users, these are like the top coins that everybody's looking at: MLG, Render, Akka, and Zeus.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of nice. So it shows us what the community is looking for too. So that way you can kind of be like, oh shoot, I forgot about Zeus. Like, let me take a look at that. I have a little bit of Zeus in the bag type of thing. So here we are. So I'm going to input right here, essentially the Solana SPL address, which is going to be this. And then you pay the fee, either 50 cents or 9 tap. I don't have any USD in this one. I just have tap in this. So I'm going to go ahead and pay tap. I'm going to confirm
and
this.
tap is the Cyberfrogz token or what?
Yeah. So tap is the official token for the Cyberfrogz. It used to be Kira, but then they did a rebrand of everything. So they rebranded it to tap to make it more sense with their structure. But yeah, so that is their token and what they use. I know they burned, I believe, 95% of the supply a couple months ago. So and the token has a lot of use cases in general with the ecosystem and how it works with Thor. So you definitely need some if you plan to use the service too. But I mean, like I said, you could always pay 50 cents USD. I usually prefer to pay the USDC because who knows what the price of tap will be down the road. So I try to conserve as much as I can. But yeah.
Right.
So cool. So the transaction went through, went green. So basically what I do now is I give it about a minute or two just so it can pull the data. Right now it's pulling all the data, doing all the stuff. So I'll give it about a minute or two just to kind of basically see. So in the meantime, I can show you like Flog would be another option, another coin that I did a little bit on. And I have the pair right here too. Yeah, Flog. Oops, that's ADA. But yeah, so like Flog, I quite a few calls on the 15-minute charts, 15-minute candle charts, and the charts too also make a difference. If you want to play like volatility zones with shitcoins, you can definitely do like 15-minute zones. You can do 4-hour, 1 day. It really just depends how you want to play.
Can you do like for like Flog you would do a 1 day, but we'll be able to look at Moby on like a shorter term once it's loaded, right?
Yeah, 100%. The thing is with Thor too is that if there is no calls, so let's say we pull up Moby and there's absolutely no calls for it, what it's going to do is it's not going to show it to you. It's just going to give you a credit towards basically a free credit towards another coin or another token for you to analyze because there's nothing to show, so it's not going to charge you for the call.
Gotcha.
Which is really nice. It's like a little reimbursement service that they have, so you're never losing just like throwing crypto away.
Right.
Let's see. All right, so it should have loaded by now. So we're going to go back here. Cool. Looks like this was the token, right? The CY1G. Yeah, so it looks like there are 0 signals for it. It might be too new right now, but it did capture everything. So we do have Oh, yep. See, it even says right here, 1 free call for the token.
Cool. Let's try another
because,
one then.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you Grift, and you tell me what you think about that one.
All right, let's do it.
All right, I gave it to you.
All right, plug it in there. Go back to Ask Thor. Transaction goes through. Give it a couple minutes, and we'll see what it says.
Yeah, I mean, Grift has been around for a little bit, so it should have some more calls.
Yeah.
Hopefully. What were you gonna say?
Hopefully. No, I was gonna say, are you much of a trader yourself? I know you do a lot of pooling and stuff, but do you mess around with like perps, or not even perps, just like spot trading in general?
I do a little bit amount of perps, like if I think it's gonna be good, but I not a ton. And then I do spot trading on Vector, my Vector app.
Okay.
And then you know what that is?
Yeah, the Vector app from the Tensorians over there.
Yeah, Tensor Team. Yeah, so I use that, and then I also use like DeFi Tuna, which is kind of a combination of perps and liquidity providing. If you've seen that,
Yeah, I've seen
so I do a
like
bunch of
level
different
2.
stuff. Yeah,
I was looking at all that stuff.
exactly.
It looked a little complex when it came to all that stuff, but I was like, you know what? It doesn't surprise me that there's perps for pooling now too. I was like, that's the most DeFi thing I've ever heard. All right, so I'm gonna reload this real quick. Perfect. Take a couple minutes until it's okay. Oh.
Welcome in anybody who is just joining into the stream. I am here with PapiChurro. He's a holder of the Cyberfrogz and showing us how he uses the Thor bot to analyze calls to then better be able to DLMM. And so we're just waiting right now. We had just put in a call, and so we're just waiting for it to load in, and then we will we'll see what it's saying.
And while we wait for this, why don't you give me like maybe 2 more coins that you want to look at? That way because it takes a little bit to load, so we might as well load up a few more. That way we can cross-reference stuff. If there's any other ones that you like trading or?
Yeah, let's do ARC. I'll give you that one because ARC's one that I really like.
Oh,
you may have already done ARC. Oh yeah, you got ARC right there.
AI Red Complex, cool. Let me ask this one again.
And then
give me 1 second. I transfer some soul in this account. Looks like I ran out for the gas fees. See, that's how often I've been using the Ask Thor.
And then the other one will be Pippin. I'm not in that one, but we'll take a look at that one.
Cool.
And I'll go ahead and I'm gonna add my my screen to the stage real quick while this is all loading up. Obviously we're in Moby, which Ask Thor, it's too new. It's only a day old, and so they didn't have any calls on it. Normally it needs data, more than a day to be able to do, which makes sense. It's using past data, current data to be able to make a call. And so, but yeah, we were using the MACD indicator. It's one that I've talked about a lot. And basically after it had come down right here, we waited for the MACD, the lines to cross. As soon as they did, and it started to widen a little bit, then I went ahead and bought in here, and we set up a one-sided pool, which you'll be able to see here. These are all the coins we're in right now. We're in Swarms, ARC, Grift, and Moby. And you can see here on Moby, we were earning about 50%. We're earning 70% now. Moby has moved up higher into our range, which is great. We set it up on a 100 bin step 2%. So it was a 96% range from the start to the bottom. We did a hybrid strategy on the bid ask. So we did half in spot and half in bid ask. We're now getting into a little bit more of the meat. And so this percentage is going up. And if it continues to go up, I think we'll see even more. But we entered in, you can see here, right around the 45 million, 46 million market cap range. And it's all the way up to 65 million now on Moby. At some point, this will probably see a drawback. You can see the RSI is getting pretty high on it. It could go higher, obviously. But I think once we start to see this MACD start to shift, we could see it come back down. Or maybe Moby just continues to do amazing and we see it absolutely continue to rip up. So how are we looking, Poppy? Poppy? Oh, I lost him. His mic's muted. We'll wait to see once he comes back up.
All right.
There he is.
Sorry about that. I didn't want to interrupt while you were talking.
You're good. All right. I added your screen back.
Cool. So just reloaded this. Let's see.
Oh yeah, that's right. You had to reload your Soul wallet. I'll come back to your screen once you get that going.
All right,
and then also Grift is one obviously that we've been really, really high on. It came up pretty good all the way up to 135 mil, and then it's coming back down to around the 122 mil. You can see that it is the RSI came down fairly low here, and so we are seeing a potential reversal about to happen. As you can see here on the MACD, the lines crossed up here, came down, they widened pretty heavily, but now they're starting to move together. It could still dip a little bit before coming back up, or we may see the lines just pretty aggressively cross here and it come back up. So we'll have to see. Our Grift pool, we'd actually be happy with it coming back down some because we're at the top end of our range, which you can see here. I mean, we're still at a really good spot on it, not too high, but we've been earning around 12 to 13% on it daily, and haven't had it open a full day yet, but been doing really well. Obviously, with the move up of the token, obviously we gain on value as well. So like if you look at Ultra LP, for example, even though it's earning 12.5% a day on Grift, we're at almost 20%, even though we're not even a full day in, because the overall value of the token has gone up. And you can see Mobi, we're up 31% on Mobi right now, which is really, really good. Obviously, if it keeps moving up from here, it'll go up even more. But we're going to ride out Mobi for a while. Even if it comes all the way back down to here and back up, we'll just continue to ride it and see how well we can do on Mobi. We honestly, we're kind of low on Solana at one point. And so I sold some stuff to be able to have some liquidity even to get into Mobi because I saw it as a good call. And so we only had like $1,800 in Mobi to start. And we're now at a little over 2,000, earning 70% there. So how are we looking, Poppy?
Not too bad, man. Inputted everything basically, and I'm just waiting for Thor to kind of spit everything back.
Okay.
Let's see. Looks like it did come back from Grift. Grift had no calls, looks like. So right now it's looks to be nothing on Grift. The CY1G address, nothing on it. So it's just waiting on the other two to calculate.
Yeah, that was Mobi. No call on that, which makes sense. I'm surprised Grift didn't get a call. So basically when it doesn't have a call, is it doesn't have, like, it's just not confident in what it's going to do, maybe? Like in Grift, it's not sure.
So basically it's less confidence and more math. So it's more of just the fact that the trends are everywhere. There's no patterns. There's no real support. There's no, essentially everything could keep dropping based on volume, RSI. It takes a whole bunch of things into consideration.
Gotcha. So if it doesn't feel confident in the data it's given, then it won't make a call on it.
Exactly, because the risk, it's a very risk adverse spot. So I'd rather say, hey, just let it keep playing out, see if there's a trend that pops up. But for now, hold your money and save it, and let's see if there's a better entry zone in a couple hours or so. Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, since you Pippin, you got that one inputted as well as ARC, right?
Yep, put them all in right now.
Those two would potentially have some calls, so we'll have to see. But let's see what pops up.
Oh, looks like we got ARC. So ARC did pop up. Let's see if you can share my screen. Yep. So it looks like out of all those, ARC looks pretty good. Looks to be. So here we go. Basically, the interface will pop up. The coin will pop up right here. And then this will be essentially your time zone. So I always go for the furthest one out. I would like to get the eagle view on everything. So 4-hour calls. Looks like there's asterisks on that. And we have a few calls here. Looks like we have a long call down here, 56 to 58. Let's see, 57 to 60 would be our range right here. This is a crazy rip, though. Looks like Thor's saying that if the price gets all the way down here to the 60 to 57, we're looking at a 20.
Yeah. I mean, that would say that ARC would have to dip all the way down to 60 million market cap, and it's at 217 million right now. So
yeah. So you can kind of see kind of like the probabilities play out, but it's very confident about this play right here. This long, it's got two shorts up here too.
I'd be pretty confident if ARC went down to 60 that it would probably come back up hard too.
So it's a pretty, but he would be a nice little entry zone. So let's say I was to come in and let's say I wanted to spot trade it, I would just look at what's a good time to get in? I'd really like to get in at this range. So I'd rather just set an order just to buy some here, and then I'll let it ride. If it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it's okay. But at least I don't risk the biscuit up here.
Right.
And then
And
when
then
I
you have a
see
long
these
call up
two,
there.
yeah, and then when I see these two short calls up here, basically I look at this and I'm like, well, it looks like this is a resistance zone right here, and then this would be if it pops off, right? So you can kind of zoom out a little bit more. It only gives you so much, but you can obviously plug these numbers into TradingView and get a broader aspect of it.
But I think that makes sense. On ARC, the 408 to 423 market cap range right there, that bottom one of the two shorts. Yeah. And so so when you look at that on the bottom there, it shows the TP1, TP2, TP3, and the percentages. Tell me again, what are those? The first one is the first take profit, and then the second and the third take profit. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So TP1 through 3, this is essentially your range of exiting. So when it hits this range of exiting, it's up to you how you exit. Some people go straight up for the TP1, and then more advanced traders that understand TA or understand volume and stuff, they'll be like, hey, I'd rather get out in between TP1 and TP2, or I kind of look at the chart and be like, I think I like this zone a little bit better. This is the least percentage-wise, this is your gain, and this is your maximum gain for this play. But then once it reaches a zone, new things could happen, and so the play will then just disappear after that point because it was completed. Right. So
like it could be like a few days or even a week before ARC would hit those ranges of like the 400 mil plus. And so is there, if I wanted to see like what it thought ARC was going to do in the short term, like does it have that, or just it doesn't have those calls?
So right now there's a 4-hour call and a 1-hour call. So 4-hour time zone, obviously it's zoomed out, so we can get a nice little view. Yeah, let's go to the 1 hour. So we'll zoom in now and say, hey, what is on the short term saying? Between the 15 and 1 hour, I consider short term. So we can look down. It says, looks, the only call we have right now is a short at 39 and 40. But here's one thing that I noticed too. The biggest thing that I like to really solidify whenever I do any plays, like how I'm convicted of a play or how do I know to enter, is I see a 39.40 call right here. But check it out. The same call
was on the
39.40 was on the 4-hour one. So if I'm seeing two calls, let's see, 39.40, and this one is 42.40, right? So they're very close in range, this one. So this is telling me that this could be a very a dogfight zone, right? This is the cockfight area. So this would be essentially where everything would the fights would go on. So I'm very much liking the zone. So I could take a short here, or if I'm doing a long, if I have an open position, I could look to exit at this level or take profits if I would have bought it earlier, So
is there a way tell me your thoughts on this. So if I'm wanting to get data on a coin sooner, right? Because again, even though it's showing that on the 1 hour chart, it may take again a few days or even week or more for it to hit 400 million again, right? And so I guess I'm curious, does it have anything where it would tell me a call that's much sooner? I guess it would have to find one that's less than the 15-minute range. Is that the shortest it does?
Yeah, the shortest would be 15-minute range, and currently there's nothing on there. 15-minute zones are kind of I would say kind of the trickiest ones out of the Thor calls, because you're on a 15-minute zone, you are a very volatile zone. Sometimes these calls are more, they recommend them a little bit more for experienced users because the entry zones are so in and out, and crypto's so volatile that it could be looking like everything could be panning out, going the right way. It could be going north, and then all of a sudden, there's a flash crash and something happens, or the markets just dip for no reason, or it pumps for no reason. Could be so. Usually play them a little bit more conservative. I usually don't like to take the 15-minute calls on any Thor call unless I'm feeling really degenerate. But for the most part, 1 hours and 4 hours, I like to kind of match those up, and then I base kind of the direction of the market on the 1 day calls. But that's just my own analysis, right? I've had time to play with this AI a lot, and it's been good to me. But it's at the same time, it's also been you have to find what kind of trader you are, and then from there you kind of amplify and use Thor in that sense, right? Thor is like a power drill. You can still do it with a hammer, right? You can build a house with a hammer, but with a power drill, you're gonna have much more success. But if you misuse the power drill or the power hammer or whatever, you're gonna hurt yourself, right? Or you're gonna get wrecked in the sense.
Yeah, I gotcha. And so let me ask you this: if right now it's showing the 1 and the 4 hour right around that 400 million market cap range, and so that's what it's showing. But let's say like 2 or 3 days from now, I come in here and I want it to make another call on ARC, and it hasn't hit that range yet. Would it still show that in the 1 hour and 4 hour call? I mean, or would it?
Basically,
it would
when
does
the call? Yeah, when
so
does
do
the
you
call
have
disappear?
Yeah. Do the calls disappear or do they stay there?
Oh no, they
disappear. I see. It
disappear.
says invalid.
Yeah, we have invalidation zones here too. So if the price were to hit this number, or internally too, if there's some kind of shift in the market or liquidity starts moving around, Thor updates this right every minute. So that's what I'm saying. Every time a new play or no new information comes in, I've seen plays that I'm very convicted in, and then suddenly it's not that it even hit invalidation zone, it just disappears on me. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm out of that play. I'm not doing it. For some reason, Thor got a hunch that the math wasn't mathing, so I'm out. I'm not going to play with this, right? So I go off into the next play, and that's pretty much how I do it. The invalidation zones will be here. If it crosses it, obviously it'll be way too far off on the opposite side of the price range, so it's very less likely for it to pan out at all. And if it does, it'd be way less likely for it to react like we need it to react, essentially, to do the opposite effect. And and bring us into
do you have any coins that you've done calls on that you could look at that maybe were longer calls but are now like getting closer to what that would like those calls would happen?
Let me see. Pengu would probably be a good one. I've been doing
or Snide maybe. Yeah.
Let's see. Poppy, we tried that one. Cloud had some really good ones too. I'll pull up the Cloud one. Let's see.
Pippin is ripping up right now.
Hive was really good. I think you talked about Hive quite a bit too, but
yeah, Buzz. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Buzz was definitely good to us. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, but for the most part too, like, it just depends how I'm trading. Obviously, you're doing meme coins or you're doing smaller stuff. The volatility is going to be crazy, right? You can never kind of predict when a whale is going to come in and buy 20 million of market cap or something. That's the tough part about that. Obviously, for sure. The mid cap and larger cap coins are going to be your bread and butter when it comes to this stuff. Jupiter, Jito, those are your mid caps. This works beautiful with Thor.
What is that call right there on Sol? That's a short.
Oh yes, yes. It looks like on a 15-minute chart. Looks like the price. This was the entry zone, and it looks like the price hit. So it's currently active. This is what an active call looks like. So the price was in between 189.8 and 189.3, and looks like the expected exit zone is going to be 183.63 for 3.27% gain on the play. So essentially, this is where it'd be. So, but you can see it played out pretty well. I mean, it's kind of nice that it popped up just in time for everyone to see. But
yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Yeah, being able to see something like that. Yeah, because obviously it came up, dipped right into that little range just barely, and then showing that if it does that it's more likely going to come down to the 180 to 183 range. Yeah, which wouldn't surprise me. I would kind of, based on what I'm looking at on a chart as well, like I would kind of expect it to, to come down a little bit in the short term, right? Cool.
Yeah, cool. And
so we were looking at. What token was it you were just pulling up?
Yeah, so they're loading up in the background. The one thing I wanted to touch up on too is this really cool Turtle just reminded me right now. He's going to hop on in a sec too, so you can talk a little bit.
Cool.
But
he's got the link, right?
Yeah. I sent him the link and everything, so he's good to go. He's just driving right now. But the cool thing, probably one of the safest things probably one of the most convicted things that I've ever seen kind of in anything is any way to mitigate my risk, right? If I can mitigate my risk, I can essentially enter any play confidently, especially with crypto. So this tool right here, the risk management button, is pretty much a built-in calculator that tells you your risk management on a play. So let's say I wanted to enter this play, this short, Thor is calling for this resistance zone. How likely, like, what am I going to bet, right? So let's say I want to go in with, let's say I want to do a small play. Let's say, I don't know, $100. So I'm willing to risk $100 and I'm wanting to get out at TP zone 1. So there's your TP zones right here. And there's your, how much you're willing to risk, right? In USD.
Yeah.
So
you make $3.27. Yeah.
You'll make the calculations here. And then this would be your stop loss. It calculates everything for you. If you want to do a 1 to 2 risk to return, then your stop loss is going to be 192.13. If you want to do a 1 to 1.5 risk to return or a 1 to 1 risk to return, it's going to tell you here. For spot traders, it's going to tell you where to buy and sell. In the zones, it'll tell you directly sell 53-cent sold at 189, or yeah. So it'll tell you where to exit and where to go depending on your trading style too. And then it gives you the original play here. So yeah, so when I enter it, I'll do the stop loss right here. I'll do my TP1, and then I'll do my entry zone, and I will set the orders ahead of time. And then literally that's how I trade. I just set the 4-day and 4-hour and 1-day calls ahead of time, and then I walk away, I'll go enjoy myself, I'll come back, the entry is hit, and cool, it's riding along.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at that coin, and while you're doing that, we are up to over 360 people watching, so thank y'all so much for being here. I do stream every Monday and Wednesday, and then sometimes in Tuesdays and Thursdays, like today, depending if we have special guests or different things like that. I will be looking to make more content as well to put out just like straight up videos. And so I'm trying to consistently stream twice a week and then do some extra streams here and there. I'll actually be streaming tomorrow and Thursday of this week as well. I think we're going to have some more special guests on Thursday. So thank y'all so much for being here and watching. If you haven't already, like if you have, or sorry, you're just getting here and you don't know what we're doing, we're looking at the Thor bot. We have PapiChurro here, holder of Cyberfrogz. He's talking about how he uses the Thor bot and how he uses it to look at calls for DLMMing as well. And so that's what he's going through right now. So what coin is this? This is Pingu, right?
So I reloaded the site. Essentially, everything popped up now. So now everything's been pushed through. We have a couple options. So we have Pengu, we have Cloud, we have Arc, we have Pippin. So all of these all have calls on them because they showed up.
Perfect.
So we can look at, I think you said Pippin was the one you wanted to look at first, or Arc?
Well, you're on Pingu. We can look here because this was an earlier one that you did and see what it's kind of projecting right now on like something like higher than the 15-minute if it has calls there, and then we can look at Pippin.
Yeah, for sure. So it looks like Pengu right now on the shorter time frame has nothing. So short term, nothing is happening on Pengu, nothing happening on the 1-hour call right now. So it looks like we're looking at long-term plays for Pengu, most likely accumulation zones and exit zones. So we'll zoom out to the last one day. Obviously the chart looks crazy when you zoom out 1 day. And it looks like we have a call. We have a 1-day long coming in here.
If it hits 21 the 2 billion range.
To 18, yep. So now if we're looking down here, if we're looking at 2 billion range, this would be your exit. It'd be a 46% gain on this play alone. This would be a little alpha for everybody, but this would be a really nice entry zone. If I am going to buy any Pengu, this would be where exactly I'd want to buy it, just because it have the most upside, and essentially this would be a really nice rubber band bounce from 0. Yeah, that is a 46%. Cool. That's nice. But yeah, so this would be kind of the 1-day call. Now, if we zoom in a little closer, we want to go in on the 4 hours. We would go in and let's see what plays we got now. Looks like we got a short. Interesting. So this would be a very cool way of playing Thor and how you would play Thor. Here's a entry zone to be 0.05, 49, and you would exit at 40 for a 21% gain. Based on the price, you could set both. I mean, in my brain, this is what I would do. This is just how I interpret Thor, right, as a user. Basically, one thing I could do is I could set orders for both. I got a 1-day call up here, so the price could drop down here. But before it drops down here, I feel like it might pump a little bit just because of I'm looking at the chart right here. It's kind of on an uptrend, so it could pump just a tad up here and hit the short first for the 4-hour short up here, and then it might drop down to the 1-day zone. So
you'd set it up for both basically to be able to hit both of them, right?
Exactly.
Or maybe hit one or the other one, yeah.
Exactly. So as long as one of them hits, I'm happy. They're both on the opposite side of fields. So essentially, I can set both orders very confidently. And then one of them has to hit. One of them is going to hit, essentially, right? Because price goes up or price goes down. So it's a good way of kind of playing it. But now I can build my own thesis around the Pengu coin. Yeah. And now I can kind of trade it more accordingly with more conviction, right? Because now I have a plan. Yeah. Right. So
let's look at some other ones. Yeah.
Go, man. Pippin. Oh, man. Look at this chart. Damn, this chart looks good. So this is the Pippin call. We're on the 4-hour time frame. Is the only call in the farthest zone. So I like to zoom out first before I zoom in. So
this is the only call you said on Pippin?
This is the only one on the 4-hour time zone. We also have a 1-hour and 15-minute call for Pippin.
Let's look at the 1 hour and the 15-minute.
Cool. So looks like on the 4 hour, we have a long call. Looks like we're looking at a nice dip to 85 to 95. On the 1 hour call, we're coming in at 95 to 85. We have two entries. So we have one at the very bottom of the support level and then one right here. So it's trying to find resistance between this right here. So so these would be your two calls. And then this would be your entry zones right here. So for the first one, would be this guy right here. And for the second one,
the other one, I doubt even happens, that bottom one, but yeah.
But then look at this. Did you see the percentage gain? That is insane. Almost 200% gain for this play if it plays out.
I mean, the likelihood of that going there anytime within the next month would be, or like weeks would be pretty
crazy.
Unlikely. Yeah.
But it's very interesting to see at the very least. I mean, if we take the conservative play, the first one, it's still a 77% gain, which is pretty nice. In any world, a 77% gain, I'll take it. We can zoom in.
What about that 15? Yeah, let's look at the 15-minute.
Let's see, what do we got? Oh, we got a nice little short coming in right here. So it looks like this is a battle zone right here. So this would be a point of resistance.
So 185, 183. See, these are the ones that I think I would be most interested in. Like the other ones, it doesn't really give me a whole lot to work with, like anytime, like within the short, like time frame that I'd work in, right? So like if I'm looking at a coin and I'm like, all right, what if I want to get into it or not? Like definitely the other ones seem like they could be useful and good. But as far as DLMMing, being able to see that short, that makes sense. And there's also
100%.
Right? There's both here,
Yeah, there's both here. So this is nice too, because you are dealing with high volatile points. So definitely shorter time frames are going to be your best friend. 15-minute call is the same. Hey, look, there's a short coming up real soon, and it's real close to it too. So we can expect the short to maybe hit first.
And Pippin is actually pumping right now, so it's actually not too far off from hitting that 184 to 183. It's at 176 now, 177 now.
Yeah. So it's nice if you would have bought the token down here, let's say. It'd be a nice. This could be an offloading zone. Maybe sell a little bit of the bag, 10%, 20%, whatever it is. It's be a good offloading zone because we know it's going to make a retraction to, let's say, we're looking at 16.5. So we're looking at all the way 16.5.
16.5 is above where it's showing where it's at right there. It's the 15 minutes, so it's not huge. Your chart is showing it at 160.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah. So it would come from that line at the top down just above where it's at right now. Yeah.
Yeah, this would be like, yep. So essentially like right here. It's essentially where the exit zone would be. So yeah. But yeah, this would be a nice one for Pippin. So we have the short call right here, and then the long call down here again. Coming in at 34 to 26.
And then if it came down lower, you would get in. That one is intriguing because it's showing if it goes down to, oh no, wait, that one's really low. Never mind. Yeah, sorry, I thought it was saying something else. Yeah, that's really, really low. I mean, I don't know how Pippin would go down there in the next, weeks unless it just like got wrecked pretty hard. But yeah. But no, I mean that makes sense.
But
yeah, the 15-minute call there. Cool.
So yeah, that'd be the Pippin one. Next one we could do is ARK. If you want to look at ARK, take a peek at it. Let's see.
Did we look at ARK already or no?
I don't think we did.
Okay, maybe we didn't. Yeah.
Let's see. We looked at Pengu. We looked at Pippin.
Yeah. Let's do ARK. Can be our last one that we look at here.
Yeah, for sure, man.
We'll probably. I don't know if you're. Who was it that was going to hop on? You said.
Oh yeah. Turtle. Let me see if he's a bit. Let me message him real quick.
Yeah,
All right.
I don't know if we'll have time to have him come up. Is the size of the red box mean anything? More confidence?
Range essentially. So obviously, if I see a box that has a bigger range, I'm going to take this call a little bit more. I may want to position my entry towards in the middle of the box or towards like the first third of the box. But if it's like a small entry like these guys, then I'll just take the first entry, right? Because it's such a small zone to get in and out. But this just means that the price could fluctuate in this area for a little bit before dropping down.
Cool.
But yeah, this
so it's funny because I said it would take a lot, and Andy, obviously the founder of Cyberfrogz, is watching. He said that's what people said whenever we called an $8 Solana 3 months before the FTX crash.
Yeah, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah. No, I mean that's a great point, Andy. Like obviously, I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying it would surprise me. And so, but that's the good thing about having a bot like this compared to using a brain like mine. is that like, obviously my brain can see things, but I still have biases. I still have, there's a lot of stuff, whereas the bot is not biased. It's just looking at data. Right. And so, no, that's a great point, man. I think that's cool. And honestly, that it's like, that could be really, really helpful. And so I'm curious though, like, we were looking at Pippin and it was showing a range of like 30 mil. And I'm like, okay, it would take a lot for it to get down to 30 mil. And so what was I'm curious, I don't know if you can go back to it. What was the like time frame as far as it like canceling that, right? Like, or does it say how long it would take for that to happen or anything? We don't get surprised. We know our zones and the possibility. It's all up to people's individual risk management. Yeah, absolutely, Andy. It's a good point.
Yeah, 100%. And, we pulled up Pippin right here, 4-hour chart. We're looking at it right now. This could be something that people don't want to happen, or it could be very unlikely. But if it happens, now you have a plan, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. It looks like it invalidates at 29.15. 29.15 is coming up. Wow, that is a lot of room. That is way up here. 29.15.
29. What is, when you say 25.915? What is that?
That's your invalidation zone. So your invalidation zone, 29.15 right here. So if the price,
is there a number that you're looking at that shows that? Sorry, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, right here. So on the long call, right here on the call
I'm
itself.
seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, invalidation line. So invalid just means if the price hits this target, this entire basically call is invalidated.
Okay.
It's out.
So that's the
no
price.
bueno.
If it hits that price, okay, got it. Sorry.
29.15 would be up here. So the price would have to
basically
jump all
once
the way.
it hits a new all-time high, basically, right? It's basically saying, hey, if it breaks above the resistance zones that are showing, then this call becomes invalid. Got it.
100%. Yeah. So,
but if it doesn't break a new all-time high, it's saying that would be a good time to get in for a long on Pippin. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice too, because this is such a long range and it could be a while till we get up there just in general for the price. So this call could be pretty much just lingering for a couple days, a couple weeks, maybe even a month. It could just be chilling there the whole time, but it could hit at some point, right? So that's another thing, kind of keep it, as long as the price doesn't go above 29.15, it's still a possibility. So, I mean, interpret that how you want, but Thor is really nice at setting things ahead of time, right? There was I think it was a Solana call at 217 a couple months ago, or was it a month ago or 2 months ago? Nobody thought it was going to hit it. All the frogs in the community were just prepared for that 217 hit. And just like anything, there was a flash crash, everything came down, it dipped, the needle just barely hit the 217. I think it got down to 215. And then from there, shot back up. It was amazing to see. But Thor had that call for, God, it was a long time. It was up there. And people just had their orders ready, orders set. And yeah, the Cyberfrogz cooked and ate that day. But it was a cool, it's a cool way of seeing Thor kind of like really happen.
And so I don't know if you or Andy could answer this, but like, is it saying that this will happen, or it's just like, or not saying that it will, but is it saying like this is likely to happen, like on Pippin here for it to go down there? Is it making this call because it thinks it's more likely going to happen than not?
From my understanding, right, Andy can correct me. From my understanding, Thor is saying if the price hits, right? So if the price gets down to this range, this is the reaction it'll have, right? So essentially, it's not that it's predicting it will happen, because there's calls that sometimes get called and never get filled, never get hit, and then the price moves on. That's why
he said mathematically probable. So it's not predicting it will, but it is I mean, that's what I like to go off, right? I tell people all the time, like when I'm reading charts and stuff, like I can't predict exactly what's going to happen, but I can read trends and read charts and say, this is what I think will happen, right? And so I make decisions based off of what I think will happen. They're not always right, but I do find that I'm more right than I am wrong, which is what has made me successful, right? And so sometimes it's a little bit of intuition, but a lot of times it's the numbers and the charts and what I'm looking at. Whereas with this, it's there is no intuition or emotion or anything, right? It's just math, which I think is really really good to have. You need an objective, something objective like this that isn't going to be using that to make that decision. That's cool. And so so that makes sense on Pippin. Will you go back to Solana again? I want to let's go back to Sol. This will be the last thing that we look at, because obviously like the meme coins are important. A lot of meme coins follow Solana though, right? And so meme coins, AI coins, like when Solana dipped, everything dipped, right? And so if you're looking at like the 1 day time frame here, right? So like obviously we saw that short that was called on the short one, but on this one, what are we seeing here? Because we looked at this earlier on the 1 day, and so
Basically, it's giving us
This
a
is
lot of
another thing I'm
information.
curious about,
You know?
because like and sorry to cut you off. I'm curious about this as well because it's showing like 3 different longs, right? So if it hits that it's suggesting you should long it or whatever, buy spot because it's going to go up. And then there's one short position as well. And so I'm curious, like, it doesn't give time frames on these. It just gives invalidation points as far as price, right?
Right.
And so how would you know, like, I guess in a situation for this, and maybe Andy can help as well in the comments, but how do you determine which one's going to happen first? Like, obviously you could set it up for both, but is there anything that tells us which one it thinks is going to happen first or anything like that? Or
so from here, it just depends the kind of trader you are, and I don't mean that in a cliche way of saying, but you just have to know what kind of trader you are. For my own sake, I've known throughout like just the trading styles is I'm not a very good short, like a short. I don't short very well because I just don't. So I've known for myself, it's better for me to buy longs or DCA into a long position and then take profits most likely at a short itself, right? That's how I found my trading style. So for me, when I look at this information, I'm looking at it, obviously looks like we had that flash crash yesterday, and it looks like it just by a hair missed this entry zone. So for me, this in my brain already happened. Even though it didn't hit the entry zone, we could go back and hit this entry zone and it could have the same reaction, which would be this, right? The 197.91. But to be honest with you, this seems a little bit like I'd rather ignore this for now, and I'd rather kind of convict on these areas down here, because if the price hits either one of these, it's going to be a basically a rubber band effect. So I'm looking at DCA, and if there's 2 positions down here, right? There's 1, 2, there's 3 positions down here clustered in this area. So I can look at splitting whatever I'm looking into DCA into 3 sections, right? So if let's say I'm putting in a grand, that's just a scenario. So I could do 333 in this range, 333 this range, 333 this range. Now I've got my orders set. Now I just cruise. I sit back, watch some TV, play some League of Legends, whatever it is. Orders will automatically fill and hit as they go down, DCA into my position, and then I'm able to just kind of ride the wave, look at it again. When SOL starts pumping, or the effect starts happening, essentially the opposite reaction, then you're able to take profits at the zones. And where do you take profits? I always base myself off of the last one. So let's say it hits all these brackets except this guy right here. So this is the last one that got filled. I'm going to base my trade off of this call right here because it's the last one to get hit. So this would be my exit zone. Even though it hit up here for these 2 guys,
so
I'm ignoring
splitting it.
Yeah, so I'd rather take my profits here. 168, a nice 25% gain would be good, and then I'm good to go. Move on to the next play.
So let me ask you this, because, and again, this may be you or Andy's welcome. He said the signals give your framework for your plan, and so I guess one thing I'm curious of is, like, go back up to the chart here, and so if you'll scrub just to the chart itself. So like there's one price point in which it's saying if it hits it that you would want to short it, but there's 3 that are showing that if it hits it, you'd want to long it, right? And so I guess my question would be is if the Thor bot is showing 3 different zones and it's showing me mathematically it's probable that it will hit those zones, would it not make sense for me to open a short now, knowing that it's going to go into those? It's only recommending the short if it hits like 250, right? But that's like pretty high. So like, why would I not open a short now if I'm expecting it to go down into those lower zones? Or is that an improper way to look at that?
So here's the thing, as I thought the exact same thing when I first started using Thor. So I 100% relate to what you're saying right now, because I thought the same thing. Please. What if I just ride them to the entry zones, right? Why not? That makes sense. If it's convicted that it's going to play out, I might as well just ride them. I've done that so many times, but the issue with that is that where's your stop loss? Like if you're doing a short, where's the stop loss? It could pump before it dumps, right? We've seen that happen so many times. So for me, I don't have a stop loss in that. I have a TP1 zone, which is my TP1 is going to be the entry to the original long play if I'm shorting it. But if I don't have like a safety net, or if I put it too short, sometimes it'll pump, it'll hit the stop loss, and then it'll end up dumping anyways. So I'd rather just play it safe and just do it this way, because you never know with volatility these days, especially with this. Crypto jumps up 12, 20, 50% in swings. So I'd rather just play it safe right now in this way too. This is just the way I do it. If I was doing, like, let's say I put in for Nike or I put in Tesla stocks on Astor, then I'm going to play it a little bit. I could play it a little bit more free because stocks don't jump around as much. like
Right.
crypto does. But that's a different type of trading style too, right? Because pooling mindset is very much different from spot trading and flip trading mindset.
Yeah. It is interesting though. Like, I agree with trading the clean signals. That Andy said, I like that. It makes sense. And what you said makes sense as well. And so for DLMMing, right? Like, obviously we can read these signals, you can spot trade and stuff. Obviously, like, we do one-sided bid asks, right? Which is
Yep.
basically you're shorting, right? The token. You can do if you do one-sided sold, sorry. If you do one side on the token on the way up, then you're longing it. And then obviously you can set it in the middle, right? You can do like a spot trade. Which basically believes that, you believe that maybe it will short a little bit in the short term and long a little bit in the short term, but overall it's going to stay within that range. And so I'm curious your opinion on this, or Andy's as well. Like, if you have a range like this, like, would it make sense to set up like a spot here, but set your range between the long the short of the 250, 260, whatever it is up there, and the short of like the 170? Like, would you say, like, for DLMing, does that make sense? Or like, what are your thoughts on that for you and for Andy?
To be honest with you, I think we're on the same track, token, because essentially that's exactly what I thought when I first looked at Thor calls, and then I looked at pooling. When I first got into it, I was like, dude, you could just ride the entry zones to the exit zones, or you can ride these ranges. But now that I'm starting to get more of a feel of what pooling is and everything, for me personally, I really like the idea of, like, you see these clusters of 3. I could set up like a nice little pool in between this range, right? Because it's gonna rip up, right? So I can DCA into the position, but if I'm doing a one-sided soul, like you said, you can eat up all these fees on the way down, especially if it's a very close-knit, like, small bin pool. You're looking at, maybe like a 0.2 or 0.8%, whatever it is, but you're looking at very, very small bins. Yeah, you can definitely eat real good in this area. You load up on the soul, and then as it skyrockets up, you can sell it up here for a profit, right? You can take 25% of this bag, hold 75% for fees. You do all the trading and stuff here. Once it leaves the range up here, you sell that 25% bag, and you're in the golden zone. And now you've made essentially a double play. You've made a spot play along with the pool play. You get those fees as a plus bonus, and you walk away happy. But you're fighting it because now in this range there's conviction that there's going to be a dogfight in this area.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, it's good to know. I mean, I think it makes sense, right? Whether you're spot trading, like, really the difference between like what I do with DLMMing and spot trading is that with DLMMing, you're reducing your upside and you're also reducing your risk, right? If you trade the same way that you would DLMM. And so, like, I think that's the importance behind it. Like, we're already in crypto. It's already super volatile. It's super high risk. And so, like, I try to set wide ranges on a lot of the stuff that I do. I used to DLMM stuff that was like a few million market cap. I stopped doing that. Now I do anything that's really like 10 million or higher. But ultimately, like, what I want to do is trade the same way that you would here, which is why when I chart and everything, I'm looking at when it's bouncing off of different resistances and when it's bouncing off of different supports. And I set it up in a way that's going to essentially be just as if I were buying and selling it. But because I know that I'm not perfect and I know that the market isn't perfect, right, as far as like calls and stuff, I need to make sure that I'm handling it well. And so because of that, I DLMM, right? So I'm allowing basically all the in-betweens, because like Thor will say, okay, if it hits this bottom range of whichever one, that you should long it, right? But it's not saying when it's going to hit that. It's just saying it will. Well, with DLMMing, it could take, whether it takes a day or it takes, 2 weeks, either way, you're going to be in profit. But if the longer it takes, obviously you'll earn more fees along the way. So it's just a little bit of a different strategy, but still uses a lot of the same token analysis that you do, whether you're spot trading or not. So I like that. I think that's cool on Thor that it does that. Andy said a few things here. He said, Token, thanks for letting me hijack the chat in here. Shot you a follow. Seems overdue. I've seen you around forever. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, we've been running parallel for a while. I've seen a lot of the stuff that y'all do. My goal is to highlight anything DeFi related on my stream that I think is a good product for people to be able to do their own research on and make their own decisions. And I love being able to highlight that. I plan on bringing more people in that are going to chat about DeFi and different things like that. I have a few different people I'll be bringing on over the next few weeks. But yeah, just wanting to, show what I do, obviously, with DLMMing and be able to teach people how to do that, but also giving people more options, right? So like Ultra LP is something that is coming out that you can look at your profit and loss, right? DeFi Tuna is a perpetual Basically, that's around LPs right now. They use Orca, right? So we're looking at the Sol Decoder bot and it trading and stuff like that. So obviously, we want to highlight those things for people to be able to check out for themselves. You also said, Andy, that you have an automated DLMM coming using our predictive trading. That's interesting because you said it's going to be automated. And so I assume it's going to be similar to Sol Decoder in that you're going to set up different parameters. And then based off the predictions that we see here, you'll be able to open up. It'll automatically open up DLMMs in that regard. Can you tell me, is that the case?
Oh man, Andy's dropping that alpha then, because no, I haven't heard anything about this as far as I know. So this is all new to me too. This is pretty exciting. If they're automating the DLLM, this is gonna be fun.
And meanwhile, we can maybe answer some of these questions while Andy responds about the bot. Incarnate, so when using the Thor bot, do you have to wait till there's a signal to click on a call?
Wait on a signal to click on a call.
Basically, he's asking, like, do you make the trade on the app or do you do it on something else separate?
No. Yeah, so the app is just a window view of everything. Obviously, they do have, I believe, they have some plugins they added not too long ago, where you can link it to, but it's only supporting a few, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that though, but I believe so. But if not, I usually just use whatever platform you're comfortable trading on. Binance, you can use crypto.com, you can use Blowfin. Some people use what's the other one? Flash trading. There's different stuff you can use, right?
Flash trade, you can use Jupiter Perps, all that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Or you can just spot trade stuff. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is giving you all the information to be able to choose what you do next. Calvin said there's also manual Thor. It just gives signals, but Thor just gives signals, but there's also auto Thor vaults, which auto trade pairs like Jitto, Solana, Jupe. Andy said there's more info coming on the DLM bot. Very cool. Maybe we can have a chat, Andy, and see what that looks like. I appreciate the alpha just on that as well. Now, not everybody's been in here the whole time, and so we're up to 422 people watching. Thank y'all so much for being here. I do stream every Monday, Wednesday, and then sometimes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, depending when we have special guests and what's going down. We like to provide all things DeFi, upcoming tools, and things like that. We want to be able to give you as much information as you can to be able to make the best choices for you to be successful. I love doing this, and we're going to keep doing it. And so right now, if you haven't already, we're looking at the Thor bot, which is through Cyberfrogz. Basically, it does different trade calls and things, and how we can use that to DLMM. You could also just use it to trade as well. And we have PapiChurro, who's up here. Papi, we had someone talk to us about the requirements for using this service without paying tax. In the very beginning, you talked about like how many NFTs would be needed for the different brackets. Can you go back and look at that just real quick for anybody who is joined recently?
100%, of course, man. Let me go back to it real quick. And then, so it'd be right here. Essentially, the amount of frogs is going to do a couple things for you. It's going to give you more pairs on essentially what you want to trade. Different types of Solana pairs, obviously, and different types of any crypto pairs. But for example, one frog is going to have the Jitto USDC or USD and the Sol USD pair. So one frog will give you access to the 15, 1 hour, 4 hour, and 1 day calls for these two pairs. If you have 5 frogs, the bullfrog, you're going to also get a cut on the Thor tax. You get a cut on the Thor tax too by 5%. Normal, if you don't hold a frog at all, you cannot not use the service essentially. So you're able to use it without having a frog at all.
Yeah, it just costs more.
Yeah, so that'll be a 20%. Essentially, that'll be 20% tax on the profits only. That's one misconception that a lot of people have. It's not you deposit 1,000 into the vault, the 1,000 gets taxed by 20%. No. It's only your profits. So if they don't, if you don't make money in the markets, then essentially it won't tax you on any way, right? But 20% is for non-holders. If you just want to use it as regular, try it out, give it a spin. And they are able also to use the Ask Thor feature. It's just going to be $5 a call. To be honest with you, $5 isn't that. To me, I think it's still very fair because if you're going to do $500,000 play, $5 is nothing to insure yourself. If there is a call, maybe to rethink the strategy or look at it a little differently. It's like buying insurance, right? You're essentially making sure the call is good to go. So I would be more convicted of doing a play if I'm putting up that much money. I'll pay $5 just to double check the math. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Andy, you could do a little advertisement or marketing thing because if people only make money whenever they make profit, you could say if you don't make any profit, you get your money back guaranteed because technically you only on the tax if you make profit. So No, I'm just kidding. You know, those cheesy commercials
really nice.
that are like, you know, if you don't whatever, you get your money back. Cool.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
we appreciate you coming on, Papi, and sharing. Was there anything else you wanted to share? I do want to try to swap from this to just some DLMM info before I hop off in about 15 minutes from now.
Yeah, for sure, man. So far right now, I mean, like I said, the Cyberfrogz have been doing really, like the DLM community has been really welcoming in general, and the frogs have just been cooking in the servers. One thing I want to note is if you do have a one holder, so if you're just one holder of a frog, you do have access to the DLM chat, which is really nice in the Cyberfrog Discord. So you just need to hold one frog, and people in there are cooking. Like I'm telling, plays coming everywhere. More people are learning, and it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you say, hey, I know nothing about this, there's always somebody that'll spend a couple minutes with you or an hour or so just to walk you through in the voice chats. It's really, really helpful community. I definitely learned a lot more having the Cyberfrog than I have in the entire crypto space in probably 3 years. So, I mean, that's not to shill the project or anything. It's just genuinely, it works. Like the products work. There's nothing. I mean, it's good. I mean, Thor is definitely maybe a more convicted trader, a more solid trader. And then, you know, I can spend more time doing other stuff, focusing on other things or whatever else is out there, you know.
That makes sense. Yeah, we had done a collab with Soul Decoder where you could have less and access the bot and stuff like that. Do y'all have anything like that, Andy, where y'all do collabs with different communities and stuff, or is it pretty much just straight up across the board what you see there? Or if you know, Papi, you can answer too, but you may not know.
I don't think I know too well about the collabs or anything going on forth.
Yeah.
I'm not on the
and
team or anything.
It's okay if not. I had somebody in my chat ask me about it. Not really anymore. Okay.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing they just had right now was they just did a merch drop. But I think that's I don't think it was a collab in general. It's just a merch drop. That was the last thing they did too. So.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Andy said it's pretty flat. It's open to everybody now through the Ask Thor system, but we don't do partnerships anymore. Yeah, that makes sense. Because, I mean, y'all are farther along, right? Like, Soul Decoder is still trying to get their name out. They're still working on their bot and stuff like that. They need people to test it, need people to use it. So it makes sense. Like, eventually they're not going to do those collabs anymore either. And, you know, the people that, you know, own one Soul Decoder and are able to access it, like, you'll still have to pay something later on. It's just kind of like a limited time thing to be able to access it. Whereas with this, like, they've been running for a long time. Like, I know that, like, Thor was something that you were using even before, like, the Cyberfrogz project, right? And then you brought it in and basically, you know, basically made the project, you know, focus around this and have really made it more efficient and made it better and continue to make it better. And so it's pretty cool. But yeah, they've been around a while, so that makes sense. Sleepy on YouTube. Hey, welcome, man. We are looking at Thor. There's a NFT project called Cyberfrogz. I did spell it wrong. It's Forgs, not Forgz, so I do apologize there. But this is a trading bot, essentially. It doesn't do the trading for you, but it is a trading signal bot, and it tells you different forms of signals based on different calls that it makes, based on information, mathematical probabilities. And we are talking about how we use that to better DLMM. And so I'm using Meteora or other forms of DeFi as well, looking to get some signals and entries in and out of those positions. So very cool. Well, hey, Papi, thank you so much. Andy, thanks for coming on and answering all the questions, hijacking the chat. We appreciate that. Appreciate you being here. If y'all haven't already, please go check them out. I'm sure if you have any other questions that weren't answered here, you can go into the Discord. I'm sure they'd be happy to help. Papi's a big part of our community. We appreciate him. And yeah, we look forward to being able to maybe showcase it more in the future. And but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and hop into some DLMM stuff. I'm only gonna be on for about another 15 minutes, and so we're gonna look at some of the coins and things that we've been looking at today. But Papi, any last thing you wanted to say before you hop off?
No, man. I mean, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for your time and everything. It's really cool to kind of give an overview. And yeah, man. I mean, frogs fuck, man. I mean, that's the biggest thing to say. I mean, frogs fuck buy a frog pussies, because I mean, this shit is it's fun, man. It's way more fun. It's way more fun to trade when you're like more convicted in trades. I don't know. Plus the community fucks. I mean, we're all in there. We're all learning. Everybody is in there as a chat. So it's pretty cool, man. But yeah, man, no, I appreciate your time. Thank you for everything. And hopefully we can do more of these down the road and just more questions. Please, questions create answers. So please pop me, ask questions to any frog you see. Everybody's super helpful. The community is just out there to help. So yeah, just pop in, and then yeah, we'll see you guys in there when we see you.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. Thanks for coming on. We're going to keep streaming, guys, but he's going to go ahead and hop off. Thanks again. Cool. So we're back. So thank y'all so much. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some DLMM stuff here. We're over 400 people watching. I appreciate y'all being here. We do live stream every single week. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So I'm going to pull up here. We were looking at a few different coins, using our good morning, good night, site for charting and for buying coins in and out and stuff like that. Grift has been doing amazing. We are near the top side of that. Oh, my screen is, oh, there we go. Moby's doing really, really well also. We got into Moby on the swing up. It went up. It's come down a little bit, but it's still continuing in a nice sideways trend now, which is what we like to see. We want it to continue up, but we like it when it sits sideways because it's going to continue in the range. We're earning 50% still, and it's really just below kind of the meat of what we'd like to see as it continues to move up. We're kind of in this set in the long term to be able to set this up, expecting it to go up much higher in the long term. Now, it could go down a little bit more, could go back up before that happens, but we wanted to set ourselves up, yeah, like I said, for the long term. And so if we're earning even 20%, 30% a day on this, that's obviously some pretty insane numbers. So we're going to continue to hold and see what that does. We are holding Swarms, which is down a decent amount. That should have been one that I had Poppy and them look at. But yeah, Swarms is one that I'm interested to see where it's going to go from here, because obviously it's come down. It hasn't bounced back quite as well as like Arc and Grift have. And so I'm curious to see where it's going to go from there. But we're also DLMMing Arc. Arc is just one that I've been talking about forever. It's absolutely amazing. Andy, thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks, man. Really glad y'all are here. Y'all came on. Any thoughts on Pippin? Yeah, we talked about Pippin. I think Pippin looks pretty good for the long term, but let's see here. Yeah, actually, Pippin was one that we had them check out. They had a call that whenever it hit 180 million roughly right here, which it looks like it pinged just above that it would likely come back down to 165. And so it's already looking like it's making that move. That was like a very short call. Obviously, that's just a little quick swing there. But it did show that, and that does look like what's happening here. So very interesting that it picked that up. Obviously, Pippin's down as well, but I think it could do well in the long term. Let's look. If we look at like the 1 hour, we're looking at like a MACD indicator here. It looks like it is nearing its bottom as far as like the 1 hour chart, and so that's a good sign. You can move your chart between like 1 minute, 5 hour, 1 hour, 4 hour, and get an idea of what the MACD is saying. Also, I use an RSI indicator, which again, these indicators you can just type in up here like this. MACD, you can type it in, enter it there, and then you can do RSI, which is the relative strength index, and do it there. And so you can see that the MACD is showing on the 1 hour that it's starting to slow. And so when you look on the 5 minute, it's showing that it's up here. And so it might be in a little bit of a dip right now to come down further. But on the 1 hour, it's actually showing that it's all the way, this is all down, right, on the 1 hour, but that it looks like it's going to be coming back up soon. So I think Pippin has a more of an upside than a downside right now. It did look like it hit multiple supports down here, which are fairly significant that we can see from back here as well as here. And so I think we'll see it continue up in the long run. It's not one I'm in now. I am low on liquidity, so I won't be getting into it right now, but I do think that it looks pretty good. Why would you choose a one-sided bid ask for this? The mints has been nice for me. When you say for this, what do you mean, Sleepy? In general, one-sided bid asks are good, depending if what you're talking about, like Sol. But I did a one-sided bid ask spot hybrid for Moby. And the reason that I did this is that a bid ask in general means that you're expecting it to go up like fairly quickly. And you're also expecting or wanting to have most of the liquidity, most of what you're selling. So like I bought the Moby token way down here. And so I'm selling it on the way up. But like I could spot hold it and then sell it up higher here, right? But then there's tons of stuff that's happening in between here. And so I'm wanting to set this up to where I sell most of my liquidity at the top side of this because I'm expecting it to go up a lot more, but I'm wanting to earn fees along the way. So that's why I set it up like this. Whereas if I set up like a spot only and not a bid ask, then I would be selling a lot more of my token early on and I'd be earning more fees, but I'd be selling the same amount per bin step early as I would be later on. And so this is just a better way to kind of bet on it in the long compared to short. And then vice versa, when I set up a pool that's on a short, which I don't have any open right now because I'm longing a lot of things, you do the exact same thing. You're expecting it to go down And so I'm setting it up to where the further down it goes, more of my liquidity will buy it lower down instead of buying a lot of it right at when the price dips, right? I'm wanting it to buy more further down. And so that's why I would set up like a one-sided bid ask. You put any mental real estate into all these sol longs at like sub 150 on Thor, maybe stable up a bit of the port or limit exposure on volatile coins. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I am watching some of this. So my support level on these, there's two big supports here that we see. And so we see one here at 174-ish, 175. This is one. And then we see another one. Where's that indicator here? And then we see another one here that's at 156, right? And so for me, if it drops below 175, that's where I would stable. Right now it's at 190. And so I kind of, again, I don't know what's going to happen, but for me, this is the support level that I'm watching. And so if it dips below this, where it didn't dip below this here, you can see it bounced here and it bounced here. But if it does dip below this, then I would expect it to continue down potentially into the 150 range here. And then from the 150 range, I might potentially set up, believing that it's going to go up much more from here. So I'd set up like a long or something like that. But ultimately, this is what I'm looking at. Obviously, Thor may be showing something a little bit different. I think it's showing a similar thing, honestly. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. How do you use RSI indicator along with the MACD? Yeah, so basically, these are going to show similar things, but not the same thing. So the MACD really shows the swapping of trends, which RSI does as well, the relative strength index, but sometimes they'll be a little bit different. But essentially, look at both of them together. So RSI, anything that's like below 40, but really like 35, even lower, is usually a really, really good buy, right? And so it's showing you based on its value what the strength of it is. And so like down here, January 14th, that was today, early this morning for me, which was like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., it looks like on Mobi, you could see right around here, it was showing that's where a very, very low point. It was at 29 on the RSI. So anything that's that low is usually a pretty good buy. And so I would use this, but like also you could say that right up here, like 35 would be a good buy, right? But the MACD is still showing it's going down. So the MACD helps me determine how low it's going to go before it swaps to go the other direction. And the RSI shows me at what point it's actually good to get in. Because for instance, I could, let me see if I can find an example of this. Basically, the MACD may be showing a swapping of a trend, but just because it's swapping doesn't necessarily mean it's a good time to get in. The trend could be moving, but it could be moving at a price that's still too high. So for instance, like right here, we saw a swap in the trend, right? And it came up really, really high based on the MACD. And in the short term, that's really, really good. But the RSI was already pretty high on this. And so that means that it's probably only doing this in the short term. It may not do this long term, right? And so basically I look at it to see, okay, the MACD is showing that it's trending up. I get in here, it goes up. But the RSI is showing that it's pretty high. It came all the way up to like 80 here. It can go much higher, like all the way up to 100. But at 80, it's much higher here. And so when the RSI gets too high, it's showing that it may be a good time to sell, or it's definitely a bad time to buy. It may be a good time to sell. And so I can use that, seeing that it's coming up really high right here with the fact that these lines started to get close together on the MACD to say, okay, it's probably a good time to either sell or set up like a one-sided sold position to capture volume and price as it goes down. And so those are some different some different ways that I use both of them together, right? And so looking at this, maybe Mobi's going to end up coming down further. It looks like that's going to be the case. It's still not considered a good buy on the RSI, and we are showing a deepening of a dip here. And so I could come over to Mobi. We've made a lot on Mobi. We're making like 50%, and I could close it out, right? Now I'm holding Mobi a more long term, so I'm not going to do that here. Whenever I look at the 1 hour on Mobi, the RSI indicator and MACD, it doesn't have enough information to show it correctly. But anyway, it's showing it still in an upward trend on the 1 hour, right? So I'm holding it in the short term because even though it may come down here, I am expecting it to come back up at some point once it dips down a little bit. So that's the idea. Thanks. Hey, no problem, man. And so, yeah, these are the different tokens we're looking at right now. We have most of these are set up on like 80 the swarms is on 80. Honestly, it should probably be on 100, but most of these are going to be on 100 bin or even larger. Sometimes I'll do 125, 150, or 200 bin. And the reason why is I like going wide on things. One, it gives more room and range for the token to move between to be able to earn more fees. And the other reason is that it also is more risk adverse. And so if you have it wider, that means that your money's spread out more. And so if the price does drop, you won't be as affected as if you had it in a short range. You'll take less in permanent loss. Do you usually use 5-minute charts for intraday trades? Yeah, I use the 1 minute if I'm looking at the short term, and I use 5 minute for longer term. And if I'm looking at like really long term, then I'll use like an hour. So it just kind of depends. But yeah, daily trades in the short term, I'm using like a 1 minute chart, especially on lower market cap stuff. As it moves up into higher market cap stuff, and I'm looking at like a day or longer on some of these holds, then I look at like the 5 minute or even up to the 1 hour. So another thing that I do, like I claim my fees here. A lot of time that I'll auto compound fees back into this, but it depends on where we're at, right? So like if I'm already way up like this, the grift that I just claimed is worth more than where I bought in at. And so for me, whenever I do this, I'll just go sell the grift. And the reason why is because I want to realize the profits on this. And so I'll just come in here and I'll sell the grift. I've made a bunch. Grift is at a higher price than what I bought in for over here. And so it makes sense to sell. Whereas if this was on the opposite side and it was down here, but I'm expecting it to come back up, then whenever I auto compound these, I'll actually add the grift back in here because I've been buying it low on the way down. And now that I've added it into the full range, I'll be selling it all the way on the way back up. So I'll be making more if it goes up because I'll be selling it for more than what I bought it for. And it adds more to the fees that I'll earn because I have more money in now as it moves up and down. So I'll earn more fees. And so that's kind of a combination of what I do depending on where the price is on my position, if that makes sense. When you sell the fees like that, does it take into account when you generate P&L after closing? Yes, it does, because what it does is if I take it out like this and I don't sell it, then my P&L will be inaccurate. Because whenever I claim these fees, it captures the price of grift when I claimed it. So the P&L is going to expect that I claim this grift and that the profits it's showing are going to, the profit that it's showing is going to be representative of the amount of grift I claimed and what price grift was at when I claimed it. So selling it right away will actually show you the most accurate P&L. Whereas if I held this after claiming it and the price of grift goes down, it'll show my P&L like on Metlex or on Ultra LP and stuff. It'll show it higher than what it is if grift goes down. Of course, if I claim this and I hold it expecting grift to go up and it does, then my P&L will actually be higher than what it's shown, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to drop myself down here so y'all can see my screen a little bit better. Sweet. All right. Hey, guys, I'm going to go ahead and hop off now. I do need to get some lunch. I appreciate you all for being here. We ended up hitting over 450 people watching between Twitter and YouTube. I appreciate all of you for coming out, spending your time. Hopefully you've learned something today. I know I've learned a lot. We'll be bringing on more guests. We'll be talking more about DLMMing and things like that. The market's looking decent. It might dip a little bit, but I think I think that it's going to do fairly well over the next few days or weeks. We'll have to see. There are some predictions that it could go down, but honestly, the market's just in a place where I think a lot of people aren't sure what it's going to do. I'm trying to position myself, watching the charts, watching daily, so that if it does dip, then I can make a good decision to be able to get out and stable some stuff. But if it doesn't and it moves back up, I want to make sure I'm positioned to earn off of that as well. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Also, you can come join our Discord. We are chatting daily in there about different DLMMing and different tools and things like that. And so come join the community. We'd love to have y'all. Also, if you do use good morning and good night, this is a great tool. Basically, what I do is when I'm looking at one of these tokens, you can see I have the buy here. It tells me where I bought at. That's because I have my wallet that I DLMM with on Meteora. I have it integrated into Good Morning, Good Night. So as soon as it buys something, it buys straight from the SOL in my wallet. And then I can immediately go and set up a pool right away in Meteora. So I'm not swapping on Jupe or anything. This is really helpful. It's very, very fast. And so if you do this, obviously I use it for all of my charting, but I also use it whenever I'm looking at trying to buy and sell. It helps me move in and out of positions very quickly and efficiently. It's a really, really good trading bot. So if you use this, I'd appreciate it if you would use my referral code. If you're not using it, hey, no problem. But if you do use my use my referral, I would appreciate it greatly. I'm going to post the link to that both in YouTube and on Twitter. I would appreciate it greatly. Also, that link is in my Discord as well. So again, thank you all so much for being here today. Great group of people. We'll continue to do this. I'll be back on tomorrow at the same time, which is 11 a.m. EST, 4 p.m. UTC. And not going to have anybody live tomorrow. It'll just be me. But yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow. I appreciate y'all coming out. Y'all have a great day.